Okay, moving right along then. Let's have a quick look at structures. Um, I'm not sure whether you would need structures, but this is things like bridges, underpasses, gantries, items like that, where there is a different set of controls and requirements needed to manage them. And typically there's going to be some inspection regimes associated with it and some condition reports associated with it. And that's handled normally by the tasks. And you can see here the structure inspections. There are several. There's normal, there's priority given here. Not quite sure why this is taking so long. I think it's because my PC is actually running out of go-go juice. There we go. It's I've got quite a few items open here, so I think my um, RAM is getting rather heavily populated. However, let's continue. So you can see here, and you can see also that there are RAG status here. These are all overdue. And that is correct, because they should have been on the 16th of the 12th of 2016 at 1400 hours, and they have not been done, so they've gone to red. Again, you can use see the filter panel. You can use it to select specific things. You can select on specific reference numbers. You can select on deadlines. You can select on assignees, etc. There is a calendar associated with it, and this is typical for most of the items. You will find that each one has a calendar. Right now, the default is for the filter panel to be open. This will change by the time that you actually get it. It will be, the default will be closed. And my system seems to be Steam driven, but we've got there in the end. So, and here's why you would see the be closed. You can see there are a large number of people here, because the other thing that will change, we go back to show filter panel, is that the default module will also be selected by so in this case we are in structures, so only structures will be shown, and you should see that this will be a lot quicker. There you go. And you can see it changes quite dramatically. That's the power of filter panels. There's nothing much happening here because this is a test system. Dan hasn't yet started testing fully structures, but you can see the general view of things. You can create structural elements. And here's the type of elements that they've got in place right now. So these are all the variety of different things that they go and look at. You can choose types, form, material type, structure, construction, right down to construction type. This is all defined by you, the user. You just you can set them up and define them. So here you say it's, you can see it's a construction type, it's carbon. Where is it? It's this for F4, it's bridge for testing, and you do a variety of other different information there. And this is, so all of this is user definable. And there's a series of tasks that are standing. There's something like, I think, about 4,000 tasks they've got outstanding at the moment. They've only got 4 records, it says here. Why is that? But I do know that, in fact, they've got something like 4,000 tasks that was causing them no end of grief for a short while, because they just didn't know how to handle it on the PDAs, and we had to do some specific work to help sort that out for them. Street cleansing, very similar to structures. If you look, yeah, you will find this will be replicated right the way through. You'll typically have a task. Typically, you'll have a defect as well, but you nearly always have a task, nearly always have a calendar. And in fact, if I go here, you will nearly always get work orders as well. So within here, again, you can define the tasks. These are the repeating tasks. What needs to be done? Who needs to be, what streets need to be cleaned when? They're all defined, if you remember, under admin repeating tasks. Here is where you see all those tasks. Again, you can see that the RAG status is in operation. You can see the street is in question. You can see the route that's associated with it. etc. And you can see the current state. And these are all due for in March, so that's correct that it should be green. Should also point out, these are the properties. If you remember, we talked about properties back here, there. These are all the different properties. So if you went in and selected street cleansing task, you could see these properties and you can actually change them. I don't propose to do that right now because it's the test system for street lighting for Colas UK, and they're busy at the moment testing it and going live. In fact, I believe, if I remember rightly, they're going live. They went live yesterday. Work certificates, again, is something that it's just a new document that you can create, and it depends on what it is that you need as a business. Colas UK needed to have a daily work certificate. My PC is definitely Steam driven. And we will come back to that shortly. Well, that explains why it took so long. There was over 5,000 records, and my poor little PC couldn't handle that for quite a while. But as you can see, they're all now loaded. This will actually also get reduced as and when the users start using this system in anger. Weed spraying takes a similar sort of line. The difference here is that you can actually define the chemicals that you use, and you can define the application log. So here you can see who's used it, where it was used, what was used, how much was used. It's a way as well of keeping control of the various different chemicals that you have to purchase. The other thing to remember as well is that I assume Australia will be similar to UK, because you're throwing chemicals all over the place and could get in contact with the general public. You have to do risk assessments, and you can define a risk assessment form here. Some of the rubbish, which is just test stuff, but you can see that various different risk assessments have been undertaken for different items, and you can actually see the risks, the actual forms here. Goodness me, there's some rubbish that some people have created here, but you can see how flexible it is. It's completely free form. You can create where the type of form that you want to have the people fill out, and then you create when they go out on site, they actually have to do the risk assessment, and you can make it compulsory. So, and this is done on the Mango itself, on the mobile client. So when they're out there, they actually do the risk assessment before they can actually start throwing the chemicals around. You can actually set up contracts as well. So should you have other companies that you need to do it for, other than the business itself, such as botanical gardens, schools, etc., then you can set up specific contracts so that you can create bills accordingly when you've done this, when you've done the weed spraying. Street lighting. In street lighting, there are typically two things that happen here. Either someone has reported a defect, you have to go and fix it, or you need to go out and do routine inspections. In UK, typically, certainly in Portsmouth, typically they have to inspect every lamp at least, I believe it's 19 times a year. So there's a very specific route that has been defined for the scout, and when he goes round, he's then able to report on the on the different defects. As you can see here, a shell was missing on this particular defect, asset B004, but it's only a medium priority. There's a low here, but there again you can see here's a damaged column, so that is an emergency. If you click on the asset, you can actually view or update the details. Now you're in the asset information itself for LL18, and we can now see where that asset is. You can see some general information about the asset. You can see the type of lamps it's used, the lanterns it's used, the unit control, etc. These, again, all of these are definable by you. It is up to you to say what it is that you need to report on, and then the forms are built and the workflow built around that. And you get a history here of what's happened to that particular lamp column or asset. You can see that there's again a calendar, so you can see the schedule of work, and again it's going to be, because of the way it's set up, which will be changing. It will take some time because you're going to see all the users, but what should happen is it should only be street lighting users here. That will be in place within the next week or two. And you can see it's much more controllable. And now you can see there's actually a task assigned here too. It's worthwhile just mentioning all the tasks, every task here, from structures, street cleansing, weed spraying, street lighting, proactive maintenance, highways type tasks, all of them are visible within the project task list. If you like, the project task list is an overview of everything. So you can have users that could only see highways or only see street cleansing, but you may have managers that can actually see the whole entire system, and they do it rather than having to go through each individual module. They just go to the projects and they can see the entire effort of all the teams, and you can see the status of each one and who's assigned to, etc. Proactive maintenance, very, very similar. So you define the assets, you define the defects, you define the tasks. When you create defects over here, defect type, you create a new defect type. You can actually select items like which module is it associated with. So if you actually select it for highways only, then the only place that will see that defect type will be within highways. Again, I don't propose to do any changes here because this is a live testing system, so I don't want to mess Dan around. But you can play into your heart's content on your own system, and you'll find you'll be able to create, just go in, give it a name, you can define the SLAs, and whether you require an audit for this, whether you do an auto close, which module is associated with, available resources. You can even define the skill set of the users that can fix this type of defect. Budgets, MC3, and a variety of other different information. I'll touch base on budgets, etc. in just a few minutes, but let me just spend a few seconds with the SLAs. There are actually 3 SLAs associated with any MaestroLIVE defect. We have a concept of trusted and untrusted sources. If a fault is raised, a defect I should say, is raised by an untrusted source, then you wouldn't send out a team to go and fix it. First of all, you go and verify it. And that is what this SLA is about. SLA for confirmation. So you define how long someone has got to go and verify that fault exists from the moment it has been entered into the system by whoever. Once it's been confirmed, then the next SLA is how long has whoever is responsible for fixing it got to fix it. So it might be that you say you've got 30 minutes to go in and verify it exists, but once you've verified it exists, then you've got 24 hours or whatever to fix it, so actually do the fix. If you don't have if you check the audit button here, then there will be a check if fixed task raised, and that is this third SLA. This is where you define how long whoever does the auditing has got to go and verify it is done, because the ticket will not get closed until the verification has also gone along and confirmed it has been done to standard. Some other things that you can do within the defect types as well. You can actually select teams, but in fact for you, I wouldn't worry too much about that. You can select the budget. We'll discuss that in more detail shortly, but there can be any number of pots associated with it here. You can display it in MC3. If you click on here, it means that the public will be able to report this type of fault via the MC3 console. You can define a default worker. Who should be doing this type of fault? And if you define it, then it's auto assigned. You can actually define which asset types this type of fault is associated with. So unless it is the defect is associated with that asset type, then this type of defect will not be seen. You can define if it needs to be scheduled. If it needs to be scheduled, you can create a work order. And you can define the allowed priority. So here's where you can say it's a priority 1, it's a priority 2, priority 3, high, low, medium, whatever. And when you finish, just click the create button. And depending on the module that you've created it for, you will then see it here. When you do create new, do it again, create new. And there's only one type of defined here, and that's asset remedial. But if you had defined other ones for this module type, then they would all get listed down here, and you just select which one is required. Reports are changing, but basically right now, the current reports, and these will continue to exist, but essentially how they are created. You go to your task list, for example. You go to the filter panel. And then you can actually save. You can select various different things here, but you can actually then just create save report. It will give you the name. Do you want to make it public? Yes, I do. And that is it. It's done. So if we now go back to reports, you can see the Bill's new report has just been created. And because I've made it public, it's available to anybody. I could make it private, only I would be able to see it. So I would still see it here, but if you logged in, you would, whereas right now you can see this one as well. If I'd made it private, you would not see this. There are more reports coming out. We are working on a new module that will be available by the end of this week. If all goes according to plan. It's called Smarts, so it'll be a new item here. You've seen it mentioned in the administration settings area at the beginning, but Smarts is going to be a very powerful report generating tool that if you purchase new user licenses from us, you will be able to create very powerful reports of your own. But we will deal with that when Smart is actually generally available. Let's quickly go to budget. Budgets are easy. Budgets are nothing more than a pot of money. That's all it really is, and it's just a way of being able to control what's been spent. So you just create it. Let's call it Bill's Slush Fund. Can't even spell. But you can define a starting amount, let's say, because it's nice round numbers. And you define an approval value, because I'm a tight git. You can actually define a system default value, but in the moment we're just going to ignore that. And we can actually say who's going to be responsible for it. So here you would select a user from the user list. Currently, this is people. I believe this is just about anybody, but we will be changing that to specific users. And you create it. And there it is, Bill's new slush fund. £1 million, thank you very much, with £100 approval value. And the manager being Kartik Shah. What this basically means now, I can go in and I can actually create defects. If I go back here again, go to admin, go to defect type. Create new. And if we go there, you see I can now select whether it's a Bill slush fund or whether it's a highways pot. So any resources that you start using that have a value associated with it will get deducted against whatever budget has been associated with it here. And if that, so if someone goes out and does a estimation, and it's going to take more than £100, then that will have to get signed off. If it's within this selected budget for Bill's slush fund, it will have to be signed off by Kartik for anything over £100. And this is how you can control how much has been spent. Very, very simple, very, very easy system. But very, very effective. You can actually export the file also as a CSV. As it gets used, you'll find the history builds up of more and more and more, and it's transactional based. So you see all the different transactions going in, and you can export that as a CSV file for other applications like Quicken or InBooks or Xero to manipulate, generate invoices, update your accounts payable, whatever it might be. The other thing about in budgets is the resource tax. And this is completely editable again. So you can actually define any value for VAT that you care to mention. So 0 rated. UK is two types, it's 0 or 20%. This is Poland, so you get a 7, a 10, and a 23%. These guys write for their home nation all the time. Don't quite know why, but there we go. And that's used them. So when you actually go into resources, so if we look at resources here, you can see that actually we can define a price, and this is a price that you pay your supplier for it. You can then define a net price. So this is the price you charge your clients for, and whatever the tax is, and that will actually work out the gross price. And if we go down further, there are none here because Colas haven't invoked it by the looks of it. No. But if they had done so, well, here's here they're showing that they're not making any markup whatsoever. But typically there would be a markup here, and typically there's going to be some sort of VAT here, which will give you a gross price here of what is actually going to be billed to the end user. MC3. MC3 is our equivalent of PEM. XOR PEM, if you're familiar with that. It's been designed in such a way that it's public facing, and it's been designed at the moment specifically for PCC, Portsmouth City Council, and COLAS themselves. So it is a little bit on the odd side because it needs to meet their specific needs, but it's completely tailorable. You selected an inquiry, you take the next, so you're a member of the public or you're a member of an organization. You can see it's dynamic depending on what it is. If are you a city resident, anonymous, next. You can choose a department. Again, this is all because you can see it's PCC or COLAS. You can choose an inquiry type. Next, and you keep going through it. Here you display a map of Portsmouth. So you put in an address, I don't know, 100 London Road. Let's see if that finds it. Oh, it did something, look at that. And right next, 100 London Road, look at that. Now you can do next. And you can choose some files that you want to attach to it. You can add some notes. You can assign it to people, etc., etc. You can get the idea. No idea what EA1 and urgent. Well, urgent self-explanatory, but EA1 not a clue. That's something to do with COLAS. And when you're finished, you just click on finish, and that will create the item. If you don't fill it all in, then you get a red marker come up like this. And that's basically telling me I've got to do something. So I have to put in, don't just sign it, but I think I have to put the source like web link, SLA, it's going to be 24 days license, let's say. And I believe that's probably enough. Just thinking about it, so it's a good sign. And that has now created that inquiry. Now, the thing is, as well, you can actually define inquiries so that they can go to something that we call ZapApp. But again, I will talk about that in more detail later. So I have no idea what that is. Depending on the inquiry type, what has been selected, that could actually automatically create a defect. And most likely it's going to be one for street lighting, but it could, of course, be for highways. You can see a list of the inquiries that have been created to date. So you can see this is the one I've just created. You can see it's green. This one here is amber. These are all reds using the red, amber, green that we defined earlier on. You can see who's responsible for it. You can see the reporter type. You can see who opened it up. I define myself as anonymous, and it quite happily accepted that. But Dan's done one. Test has done one. You can see the status, etc., etc. Highways is new, and I don't believe there have been any defects defined yet for highways. Aha, one. All right, what we'll do, we will go and we will create. Just before we do that, if we go and create new, have a look and see what's okay. So type, no types of defect have actually been defined for highways. So let's go in, let's go settings, go there, let's go to defect type. We're going to create new. We're going to call it pothole and carriageway. We're going to do SLA. Now remember, SLA for completion. Now this is a little odd because we do it in minutes. So I'm going to do 1440. SLA for verification, I'm going to do 60 ridiculously tight timescales, and I'm going to do for verification, I'll give them 1440 again. Does it require an audit? Yes, I'll say yes it does. Auto close, no module selected. This is going to be for highways. Won't bother setting any of that. I will define the, it's going to be for the highways pot, and we will, excuse me, want it to be scheduled, and allow priorities is going to be normal. What else have we got here? Low, emergency, something like that along those lines. We will click on the create button. So it's now successfully created it. It's just loading up the data. So apologies for this PC being so slow. My little gerbils are running out of steam by the looks of it. Come on, folks. Gimme, gimme, gimme. There we are. You see it's all been defined here. So if I now go to highways, defect, do create new, and there you can see, and it's that quick, that easy. And also it's worthwhile noting that it's that quick and that easy for it to be downloaded and available on Mango. Not quite sure why it doesn't zoom in near it quicker, but we can just select as location, and that should be suffice. Oh no, reporter. It's going to be charge hand. Let's say street route, doesn't matter. Comments. Again, these are all definable by you. Create, and that should be enough. And there you go. Because I defined it as schedulable, I should not see it here. I know why I haven't defined some manpower for that are associated with the module, so it can't it can't allow me to do a work order. Neither can it allow me to assign it to anybody because there's no users assigned to work orders. Again, because it's a live system, they're not using this bit, which is why I can play here, but they're using everything else. So I'm not going to go in and create a new user right now. But you can see how easy it is to use and how to set it up. And it really is that simple. Projects is more of the same, but as I mentioned earlier on, this shows you basically everything. So you can use the map to zoom in on defects or on tasks. You can use a calendar to look at items, etc. So it's just more of the same. CRM, CRM is, in the case of Call, it's not used very much, but you could, for example, use it to manage your suppliers or your partners. So in this case, the police in Hamble or one of the partners. You could use a test name, and you can see here all the different contacts that you can associate with a business. It could be a supplier, it could be a third party, it could be anything that you want. It's entirely up to you. It's a standard CRM package. Because it's a standard CRM package, you can also define contacts. So the good thing about contacts is you can define if they're mobile contacts, third parties, or public reporters, etc. If they're a mobile contact, that means that the mobile people with Mango will see this user, and they will be able to make contact with them through the phone or whichever. If it's a third party, then you can assign tasks to them. Public reporters, that's just literally what it says. It's this is Mr. Test, and he is a city resident, and he's been reporting issues. So you may want to use this information to actually go and thank him for being such a good citizen and things like that. The other thing about CRM is you can actually set up different categories for your business. This has been picked up. We've got, as you can see, city councillors, council staff, police, and it's entirely up to you how you use this. Typically, most organisations would turn around and say whether it's a third party, whether it's a supplier, whether it's a client, that type of user. If you click on display in MC3, then it does what it says on the tin. It allows it to be displayed in MC3. And that essentially is the system. There are several new products coming along. As I said, we are building Smarts, which will be out soon. We are also, in May, June timetable, we are looking to release a new module called Schemes, which is effectively think of Microsoft project, but tied in with MaestroLIVE, so you don't need Microsoft project anymore. You'd create your project here, and it would allocate all the tasks. You'll be able to see things like your critical path. You'll be able to see if tasks are on time. You'll be able to see elapsed times, what's happening to the dates at the right-hand side, any critical areas that need to be monitored because they're late. Typical sort of project management functionality. And that, in a nutshell, is MaestroLIVE. There's a lot more to show you, but that's a quick overview and will give you some clues as to how you can use it and how powerful it is and just how much more is to come from the system. There are manuals available. If you click on the help button, it will take you to manuals. These manuals are a living document. They're not fully completed yet, but they are getting there. If you click on the help support, it will take you to our support portal where you can register yourself the first time, and from there on in report problems, ask for changes or improvements, anything that you like done through there. Depending on whether we deem it as a change request or not, there may be a bill associated, there may be a PO associated with the updates, but that's a business decision then for yourselves to come up with. And that's it. I think I've done enough talking, and hopefully you've gleaned something from this diatribe. And apologies, it's not quite as professional as we would want it to have been, but I think it's given you good insight to what it can do, and I will talk to you later. Thanks, and bye-bye.